Has been a fast-growing agro-tech company in Kentucky, but now one of AppHarvest farms could be facing foreclosure.
WKYT's Garrett Weimer is joining us in the studio with what we know right now. Garrett?
$66 million. That's how much a lender is demanding in payment from AppHarvest. In a complaint filed in court last week, that lender claims AppHarvest is in default on a loan for its tomato farm in Richmond, and that could put another of its farms at risk. The complaint cites cost overruns, construction delays, and mechanics liens on the Richmond property as reasons that farm is in default. The lender once paid back the $66 million still owed on a $91 million loan AppHarvest used to build greenhouse facilities. And the Richmond facility is listed as collateral on that loan. Also, in a public filing with federal regulators, AppHarvest says a default on that loan could also lead to foreclosure proceedings against its flagship tomato farm in Moorhead. That's because of provisions in that agreement. Now, in a statement this afternoon, AppHarvest tells us, quote, "We believe that we are in full compliance with the loan terms. We are working to resolve the issue directly with Equilibrium, the lender, which we believe is based on their misunderstanding of the facts," end quote. This is not the first time the company's finances have made the news. Back in December, we reported AppHarvest sold its Berea farm to its produce distribution partner. That was to help pay back a bridge loan. And that came after AppHarvest told investors its projected net sales for 2022 were nearly $20 million less than expected for that year. Garrett Weimer, WKYT.